Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Gabriella. I hope that you're all doing well. Today's video is going to be a cozy spread in my A6 art creation sketchbook using watercolors and colored pencils. However, in the voiceover, instead of narrating the process, I will be addressing a subject that I've been meaning to for quite a while now. So the topic today is going to be lightfastness, what I personally think about it, and how I perceive it here on Art YouTube. When I started doing art again regularly at the end of 2018, I had no idea about lightfastness. I had never even heard the term in my art classes or workshops from when I was younger. And the channels that I was watching around this time, 2018, 19-ish, didn't seem to care too much about it, or maybe I just missed it. For instance, I was binge watching Perfleur at the time, and even though she had a lot of supplies, some rather expensive, she also painted a lot with like Daiso paints and Sakura Koi watercolors. From 2010 to 2019, I only had cake watercolors, and the most expensive art supply that I owned was a small Kohinoor Mandaloos watercolor pencil set that came in a cardboard box. At the time, it didn't even occur to me that these supplies are somehow not good enough and I should get better ones, more expensive ones. I was just happy with what I had. For the record, before you think it's just a rant on consumerism, I am all for good art supplies. I love buying art supplies and using them, and I love to just open my drawer and look at my art supplies. But I've also noticed that in the last few years, especially since the pandemic, the hobby art world has changed dramatically. I think a lot of people took up painting during the pandemic and all sorts of creative hobbies, and naturally an entire industry built up around it. That entails all the characteristics of fast fashion, hoarding, overconsumption in general, all the stuff that I'm not gonna get into right now. And one of the aspects of this was everything has to be fully lightfast. No matter what you do, whether it's adult coloring, sketchbooking, just hobby painting, you better get proper lightfast supplies. YouTubers really started putting a lot of emphasis on lightfastness in their reviews, and all of a sudden it became a deal breaker if the supplies did not have lightfast information, pretty much canceling a lot of cheaper student grade or craft supplies. While I understand the need and the importance of it in a professional business that sells originals, I also don't think that it resonates with a lot of people here on YouTube. Recently, I saw a comment under Harry the Art Gear Guide's video on lightfastness that I think really summarizes how I feel, and it was that very comment that pretty much inspired this video. I'm gonna read a couple of lines from it. So the comment was posted 3 years ago on the Art Gear Guide's channel by Just the Cat Who Can Type, and it says the following: while I definitely think that lightfastness is something to be aware about, I have seen many times people rule out perfectly good art supplies simply because they are not certified to be highly lightfast. It's kind of sad how people deny themselves the chance to work with many good materials in this way. Personally, I do not recall people being so obsessed with this sort of stuff in the past, particularly not hobbyists. I remember some of the harsh reviews that the manga watercolor set got when it first came out. Many YouTubers were overly concerned about the brand using certain fugitive pigments, while also being sold as an artist-grade brand. And more recently, there was a video posted by a YouTuber on the Shinhan PWC paints being, not fully transparent about their pigment information. The video was gathering a lot of comments, some being shocked, others trying to defend Shinhan. I can relate to both, like I myself fall somewhere in between the two. I understand why you would feel frustrated, especially if lightfastness is crucial in your art, but at the same time, many of these brands such as Mangyo and Shinhan, I believe what they aim to offer is affordable, reliable, vibrant paints that people can learn with without spending a fortune. Just for reference, here where I live, which is Hungary, a 15 ml tube of Daniel Smith paint retails anywhere between $20 to $30 roughly, depending on the series, whereas I can get a Shinhan PWC tube open stock for just over $3. For me, it's a no-brainer. Even if I do decide to have a couple of Daniel Smith tubes, such as Undersea Green, which is a staple in my art, of course, most of my paints are going to be Shinhan. Sleeping Beauty Turquoise is literally 10 times more expensive than any of my Shinhan turquoises. A Daniel Smith ultramarine retails for $20 US here, whereas the exact same ultramarine pigment is $3 US from Shinhan. But let's go back to Lightfastness. I can't deny the fact that I myself was also influenced by the reviews that I was watching, and I ended up purchasing a lot of stuff that I didn't actually need. A good example for that would be my Albrecht Dürer Magnus watercolor pencil set. That is, to this day, the most expensive pencil set that I own. I actually paid more for it than I did for my Derwent Lightfast, which is insane. The sole reason why I decided to buy the Albrecht Dürer Magnus pencils was Lightfastness. I already had the Staedtler pencils, which I loved, but they didn't come with Lightfastness information. And I also wanted to be, taken more seriously as a YouTuber, so I said to myself, I need better supplies, and that's the price to pay. Now, have I ever drawn a picture in the Albrecht Dürer Magnus pencils that I sold? No. Have I ever drawn a picture with them that is framed and is currently hung up in my living room? Also no. In fact, all my watercolor pencil art are in sketchbooks and binders stored away from sunlight. I mean, I don't mind it now. I've kind of grown to appreciate my Albrecht Dürer Magnus pencils over the years. But have I ever used them for their intended purpose, creating professional, fully lightfast art for display or sale? No, because that's actually not what I use watercolor pencils for anyway. By the way, I don't think it gets discussed enough here on YouTube, but lightfastness is such a complex issue. It has a lot to do with the climate you live in, if the wall gets direct sunlight or not, whether you used UV protective spray or glass over your painting, etc. For the record, I have paintings on my wall that should have faded years ago because I use student grade supplies or even kid supplies with no lightfastness information, and they're still going strong after 4, 5, 6 years. While I don't recommend selling art done in student grade and kid supplies, I think it's interesting how well many of these cheaper supplies are holding up after all these years. And especially if you're a hobbyist and you mostly do practice painting and sketchbook art, based on my experience, nothing has ever faded on me. The only supplies that ever faded badly were these neon highlighters. If you leave those out in the sun, they will practically disappear from your paper in less than 2 weeks. But anything else, I have personally never had a problem with. The conclusion of this video, I guess, is you can perfectly create practice and sketchbook art or adult coloring using more affordable, less lightfast pigments. Personally, I'm over this obsession here on YouTube with lightfastness above everything else. And if you're a professional artist selling your art, chances are you already know what to use to make your art archival. There's so many great supplies out there that deserve a chance, even if they are not the most lightfast. Okay, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment. Thank you for watching this to the end. Take care and see you next time. Bye!